Greetings, heathens and heretics, and welcome back to part two of these two fuckers trying to remember what happened at Bloodstock.
That's it. That's the end of the episode.
Yeah, because you can't remember fuck all, and I wasn't there, so it's pretty irrelevant.
I
But
mean, we're moving into what, day three now? I mean, already day four. Like if you arrived on the
Well,
Wednesday,
yeah,
like I did, it's
possibly
like
four, depends how you count, really.
it's like yeah,
We're on Saturday anyway.
it's yeah. Okay, that's probably the better way to think of it. Yeah,
fucking silly cunts doing silly things, but there you go.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's once a
Well,
year,
look,
once a year, innit?
I mean, anyone that tuned into the last episode will know I kind of finished the Friday with a massive hangover. I was struggling, but Saturday. I got up with a pep in my step. I was all good. My strategic early night worked a treat. So I'm back in
There
the
you go,
game.
kids. That's what you need to do.
Yeah, back in the game. And plenty to look forward to on
Well,
Saturday
yeah,
because
yeah.
main stage opener on Saturday was Cage Fight.
Well, yeah. So this is obviously a big one for us because the weekend before, they played one of our shows at Radio City to fucking 70 people. It was fucking rammed, hot, sweaty, very, very small, and it was a fucking great night. So,
It was a fucking great night. Let's just pause
yeah,
on that for a moment because those little Radio City social gigs have been incredible,
yeah,
and they're selling out now, right? Because word's getting around. And I like everybody has a great night. And I texted you after that gig, and I just said, like every time I come down to one of those Radio City social gigs, like the atmosphere is great. Everyone's having a great time. Like there's this real sense of camaraderie amongst the locals and other people that have come down to sit, and even the bands. So
and that's
big
what
up.
that's what it's all got to be about. Everybody's there to have a good time, and it's no bullshit, and it's all good fun. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it was a pretty special night. To be fair, it seemed to be one that, one for the ages. I mean, the Grey were incredible, Cage Fight were
right.
incredible,
Yeah,
Row of Ashes were fucking awesome opening up. So, yeah, it was a great night, and the relevance of that is that Cage Fight, who we had headlining to 70 people, opened the main stage on the Saturday.
yeah,
So
yeah,
how
yeah.
did they go down?
Well, I think they fucking owned it. I mean, one of the highlights of the whole festival for me was
Nice.
was seeing Cage Fight on that big stage. And that's to do with a lot of things, mainly because they're a fucking great band. They make a big noise for a four-piece band. Um, but it's that contrast with like a few nights before seeing him in that little venue
Mm.
and watching them absolutely kill it, but then seeing them kill it on a
Mhm.
big stage like that, and you think, okay, this is a band that can cross over. You put them anywhere, you put them anywhere, any venue, any bill, and they're gonna not only hold their own, but they're gonna absolutely floor the place, floor the audience. They're just gonna like they were great. They were really good.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
when you got a
yeah.
vocalist like Rachel, who she's got quite a unique voice, and
Yeah,
she just carries with so much power. I think any stage wouldn't be a phase at all.
exactly. And she's got presence as well. It's a performance. She's not
Yeah,
just up there singing. You see complete commitment from her to the performance.
yeah,
Um, and but in a very, I don't know, like it's in a very sincere way. It's almost like a kind of, the music, it's possessed by the music. Like
yeah,
when that sound is going on around her, it just takes her to this place, and then that's where that savage delivery comes from. And
yeah.
it really was
Fucking cool.
savage. And you could see people just taking notice throughout the crowd. It was great. So it wasn't the first band we watched. Actually, I was in the New Blood stage with Uncle Mike before we saw Cage Fight, and it was Symbiote we saw, which was kind of like again another sort of like techie death kind of
Playing Beneath the Arches on the 6th of September in Chelmsford. So get your
eh,
tickets now.
there you go. Great young band. Well, mostly young. It was kind of young band with Uncle Albert on bass. Um, I mean that with complete affection, man. It was
Have they got a song called During the War?
they
During the
may well have
War.
done. They may well have done, but they really blew the cobwebs off. Really, 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 really strong. Again, another band where you're thinking, I know I want to go and watch Cage Fight, but actually these guys are really good, and I'm kind of now I'm playing that like I want to see the end of this, but I don't want to miss the beginning of that. It was another one of those sets for me, but yeah, great, fully recommend them. And again, like another decent turnout in that tent. You know, we've said it before, we'll say it again. That little New Blood stage, plenty of people go there to
Mm.
check out New Blood. And it's great to see, and the bands are delivering.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what it's for, isn't it? It's all about the exposure at the end of the
Yeah,
day. So,
yeah.
you know, who else did you have on the Saturday? So early ones. Warbringer must have kicked up a bit of dust, surely.
More than a bit of dust, right? Warbringer's set
Oh.
was a high.
Reason's not so so
Oh,
convinced.
I'll let Reason say his piece.
I thought it was fine. I thought it was fine.
It's nice. It was nice.
Yeah.
They
But I
are they
wasn't. I
are a
wasn't.
bit.
I,
Go
I
on.
had a
Yeah.
bit of a wander. I watched him for a bit, and then I had a bit of a wander. But there wasn't anything
Right.
really sort of pulling me in to keep me around.
Yeah. Fair
The
play.
circle pitters must have loved them though, surely,
It
because
was, it was one of those where I think it was a combination of the band and the audience that made that set because I think the crowd really responded to that. They do like a circle pit at Bloodstock. They do like a circle pit, and I think the crowd delivered. We had a impressive wall of death. It kind of ticked a lot of things off the thrash metal bingo card for that set.
that's
I
that's quite a small bingo card to be
Yeah,
fair.
it is literally a circle pit and a wall of death,
Yeah,
and a reference to pizza. Um, but no, I mean they're not really that. I mean they're not even really that sort of a band, are they? It's a bit they dig in. There's a bit more meat to them than that. But
yeah, yeah.
it's kind of heavy metal. Um, for me, they were one of the strongest sets of the weekend.
Fucking
So
hell.
I've kind of had I've had Cage Fight and then I've had Warbringer.
You're in
In
the mood
between,
now.
yeah, in between that, I checked out a bit of Under a Crumbling Moon.
Wunder a crumbling moon.
Yeah, who are a fantastic band, but it wasn't the right. I wasn't in that space.
Yeah.
There was a lot
Yeah,
of stuff happening in the Sophie tent around that time of the day that was kind of very, like heavy, like
moody.
Yeah.
heavy.
Around the same time I saw Ball.
Yeah,
Ball.
yeah. I watched a
Yeah,
bit
so
of them too.
I'm intrigued about them because the album that came out a couple of weeks before Bloodstock I really liked, but it was still quite hard to penetrate. So how did that sort of work out in there?
Big crowd. It was the wrong time for me. If I'd seen them at a different time of day, for me, I was much more tuned into like the energy of Cage Fight, the energy of Warbringer. That's what I needed. So I dipped into the Sophie tent a couple of times, and it was all just very kind of like intense. And Bale were good, and I watched a couple of tracks, and I was like, right, I've seen as much of that I think as I want to see, and it's I need something to lift me. So I wandered on. But
Yeah. I mean, it was
that's
quite. I think it's maybe the wrong sort of venue for them. The Sophie
Yeah,
tent.
yeah. It's always going to
Mm.
be hard for a band like that at a festival, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So I mean, me walking away from their set was not that's not me saying shit band. Yeah, wasn't interested. Um, I was kind of in the mood for those circle pits and kind of the dust clouds that were coming up over
well,
on the
that
other
it
stage.
is mood music, isn't it? Even if you're listening to music at home, you've got to be in a certain kind of mood to listen to that kind of music.
Yeah,
Like the Cage Fight and the Grey show at Radio City. Like when the Grey came on, the mood was right for them, and they set that mood really well in that space.
yeah,
So it captured everybody.
yeah.
So it is all about the moment. And if it isn't right, then it doesn't matter how good the band are, it's not necessarily gonna hit the spot, is it?
Exactly. And which it's the great thing about a festival because
Mm.
if that stage isn't doing it, then you just walk over and that's something that Bloodstock do really well. They kind of offset different genres and different bands across the site, so you can always just turn around and go and see something else and just get a different flavor.
Yeah, yeah.
So kudos to them for that.
Um, so one of the intriguing sets of the weekend was Harriet because they're quite a long way up the bill, really,
Mm.
sort of mid-afternoon on the main stage. So I know, old man Reason, you were quite keen to check them out. So how did that kind of work out? Because they're quite abrasive, aren't they? They're quite, it's just fucking nasty,
Dense.
heavy, you know.
Dense. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's an album I kind of missed out last year, and been listening to it this week, and it sort of reminds me of Code Orange before they went new metal,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
split up
I get
apparently,
that.
which
Yeah,
I heard today, which I didn't realise. Um,
yeah, yeah,
so, but it's got that sort of, yeah, it's got that sort of dense,
Mm.
atmospheric sort of crunch to it. Um, but I mean, initially they didn't have that because they had fucking gremlins all over the gaff.
yeah,
And is it Debbie, the singer?
yeah, yeah. There we go.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
she was like, "What's going on, guys? Sorry." It's all quite, amiable, but yeah, well, they sorted it out pretty quickly, and yeah, decent. I mean, again, was it the right sort of stage for them? I think for their kind of sound, maybe Sophie might have been better because of
Right.
what they did.
Mm.
But I think they, considering what they had to work with, they gave it a bloody good shot. And yeah, it certainly was enough to make a point of me checking them out properly. Um, they brought some fans with them, so there are people there that love them, and as a band, as a unit, can't really fault them.
yeah. Fair. I mean, I missed them at Alcatraz. There was only, I think there was only a couple of British bands at Alcatraz over the whole weekend, and I missed both of them.
Right.
So it was
Right.
Harriet and Witch Hazel. So, but Witch Hazel were on the same time as Dying Fetus. So it was like, yeah.
Right. Wow.
So but look, it was an opportunity for Harriet, wasn't it? Main
Mm.
stage, big sort of shot. So yeah, look, there's a lot of fuss around Harriet. The last UK tour they did was kind of like 300 to 500 cap venues. I think they
Yeah.
sold out the Underworld and things like that. So they are on a bit of an up, which is always good for a British band. It's what we want to see in it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. I mean, look, fair play to them. I watched a bit of them. I didn't watch the whole set. What I saw, I enjoyed. It was a bit. There was something a bit flat about it. It kind of was heavy, but without being heavy, which I found interesting. It's a difficult thing to describe, but it kind of sounded like it should have been heavy, but the weight wasn't quite there. And I just actually before Here I just come off the back of seeing Peng Shui in the Sophie tent, which was a bit of a palate cleanser for the day because Peng Shui's like an MC, so like heavy
Yeah, I
backing
thought a
tracks.
bit of that.
There's kind of like there's a rock element to it, so it's heavy. It's kind of he had a live bass player, a live drummer, and there's weight there, and he's just like an East End geezer, just like I mean, I'm going to guess kind of about our age, man in his 40s. I leant over to Nicky and I just said, he looks like he's just kind of come off the school run, doesn't he? But in a good way, I kind of meant that with complete affection. But do you know what? He had the crowd in the palm of his hands. His set was fun. He dropped a Prodigy remix in there,
nice.
which went down really, really well. And it's that sort of a crowd where sometimes that's what you need to hear and it just works, doesn't it?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a rock crowd, but it's an abrasive sound. And it was just I would go and see him again. It was fun. It was a breath of fresh air. Coming out of that and seeing Harriet, which was just kind of riff heavy, and it was good. But I moved on pretty quickly from Harriet, probably to Lemmy's Bar for more beer, I would say.
more than likely.
Mm.
I will apologise to the viewers. Today's a bad hay fever day, it appears.
Oh no, not that again.
I know.
Oh,
Well, I'll
yeah,
be
yeah.
surprised. It's been hot today, so I think it's just
Harks
catching
back to
up.
last year. Right. So one of the big ones for us over the weekend was always going to be Creeper.
Mm,
So how this sort of set worked in the middle of the day at a metal festival, but they obviously have a metal crowd as well. So let's hear it. We very briefly sort of touched on them off this, but how did it work, Mr. Reason?
I think generally speaking, fairly well. I mean, I'm not going to say that they went down an absolute storm and converted the entire arena. I mean, it's a 40-minute set for goodness sake, so
Yeah,
mm,
you're kind of limited there. I mean, it was pretty much all Sangrevorn material,
yeah, to
including
be
the
expected.
two new songs. Um, but I think that's it. They just got on with the anthems, the stuff that a crowd can get behind and
Yeah.
sing along. Um, they were themselves. They did that sort of rock star Jim Steinman thing and whatnot, and just got on with it. Played the songs, a few solos here and there. People were singing.
Mm.
People were enjoying themselves. I think there was a little bit of fear that they might not go down well,
Well, this is it.
the
This is
crowd and
it.
all that, but I don't think that was the case at all. I think they
Yeah.
went down fairly well, or people were not bothered. And that's kind of what you want at the very least, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they did what Creeper do. They were entertaining. It didn't quite hit the spot for me, but I think a lot of that was just to do with the sunshine and the size and the openness of it.
Yeah.
There's such a theatrical band. Um, and there's been a lot of times where, across Bloodstock, where we've all kind of watched bands that rely a lot on the costumes and the face paint in particular. And that, I know they're not a black metal band, but there's a lot of kind of gothic imagery going on there, pale faces and sunglasses and um, blood and stuff like that, and a bit of face paint. And for me, the outdoors nature of it and the sunshine, impedes on that a bit.
Yeah.
So they made a lot more sense to me when we saw them indoors in Margate than they did on that stage. So, but, to the point that Reason made, I don't think, they weren't accepted by the crowd at all. I think generally speaking, people enjoyed the set. I think they were a feature, so a lot of people came to see them,
Yeah.
whether that's because they were fans or they wanted to check out this band Creeper that everyone's talking about. Um, so, uh, uh, we chalk it up as a success for them, I think.
Yeah, I think for them now it's the next step, isn't it? It's where they go with the next album, what sort of shows they play. Do they throw some more production into the stage show? You
I
know,
mean, as I pointed out today, they've just announced a panel at MCM Comic Con
yeah,
in October. So
yeah,
I think I was having an eye about whether to go for that, but I might do now anyway. So just to say
yeah. If
hello,
anything, it'll be entertaining. So
see if we can get a phone number for an interview. I don't know.
it's fucking if they're stupid enough, you never know, do you? So, one of the bands I'm seeing quite a lot of fuss over the weekend was Kublai Khan.
Mm,
And there are a lot of people going on about them. So, I mean, I think as a band, they're okay. They're
mm.
quite run of the mill metallic hardcore for me. So, what are they like
Yeah,
live? Because
yeah. I mean, I'm not going to come out of it like humming the songs or thinking, oh, I really need to listen to that band. I think the gist I got from them in the past and this was it's gym music. It's
yeah,
really good gym music.
Yeah,
And as a result, it's really good pit music. But from that perspective, I mean, it was absolute carnage.
excellent.
I mean, there was all sorts going on. I mean, there were, yeah, I mean, all sorts of kind of things going off down the front. There was a gladiator fight near us. When I say
Of course,
gladiator, I
there
don't
was.
mean like Roman gladiators. I mean ITV or was it
right.
BBC gladiators? Now,
Gladiators,
you've got
are you ready?
people are sitting on shoulders and doing the sort of
Yeah,
bashing each other with those kind of things and cheers when someone fell over and all that. And it was, I mean, walls of death, pits, barking, the lot. I mean, in terms
yeah.
of
The
pit action, it was the set of the festival.
the 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 um the barking was definitely a feature. Arf, arf.
Yeah,
What the
Which
fuck?
yeah. I
which
don't
seemed to
I don't
be.
know what it. I hope it's not a sort of bloke sort of being.
Oh, there was a lot of bloke energy in that set.
Oh
I think
yeah,
it
but
was
the singer's up there in a fucking white muscle vest, wasn't
yeah,
he?
exactly. But you
Yeah,
know what? The guy, yeah, he had a lot of charisma. And again, just shout out to Nikki Pantrini, who was just kind of like, but,
So
but
it's all about for her. It's all about the two hardcore bands over the weekend. That
yeah,
makes
it's
yeah,
sense.
true.
yeah.
It's true.
Makes
And
total sense.
and there was, and take this how you will. You've either got to take it in good humor or, otherwise, I don't know, walk away. But the singer referred to the crowd as baby girl. So the entire
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
so yeah, anytime he addressed the crowd, it's like baby girl, you know, this is what you're going to do next or whatever. So
That's
I mean,
there's
fucking
this kind of
sinister.
it is this sort of Texan,
yeah,
very macho, but there was enough charisma there and enough, crucially, sort of tongue in cheekness about it. Um, or at the very least, you could lean that way if you choose to. That it actually was quite entertaining, and the music was good. So we,
That's what matters,
I
isn't it?
think
yeah,
I think they're
we
sort
went
of
we went with it.
in terms of like overall what they do. For me, I pointed out they feel like the natural successors to Stuck Mojo.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not. They haven't quite got the anthems, I don't think, but they're that basically.
So would you say they're rising up to that point, or just
That doesn't even warrant a
no, no?
response.
Right, fair enough. Who was next?
I have
We
to check my
I
phone.
no, Fear Factory were next. So
Did
Ah,
they tear you apart?
at this point, okay, so
at the
they
end, yes, they did. Funnily enough, which was disappointing because I was hoping they'd play another song to finish. But
yeah.
um,
I
yeah,
mean, it was a set I was looking forward to it. Okay. So Fear Factory, controversial band on this podcast, definitely, and I think with the at various times we've expressed views at different ends of the spectrum, which is fair enough. But, this is the first time they've come out in a long time. They've been without a singer. So obviously Burnt C. Bell left, what, 3 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
there's more than that. I
Um,
mean, they took a while to put that last album out. I think he's been gone for about 6 or 7 years officially.
Cool, fuck
right,
me.
okay,
He's dragging out
okay.
legal stuff.
So, and I've got a lot of nostalgia wrapped up in Fear Factory. Like, I wanted to see them, so I was there. Now, they came out, and I'd say for most part, it works. I think they delivered. Um, it was a solid set. Um, it wasn't, they didn't kind of I don't know, they didn't ascend to, oh my God, that was a fucking
No,
classic.
no, no. It
You
wasn't
know,
a classic by any
it
means.
wasn't a classic set. Shout out to Milo, the singer, who sounded fucking fantastic. I mean, he sounded bang on. My only criticism would be he just sounds like Burton C. Bell. He's a bit of
Yeah.
a
We,
um
we both looked at each other early on because we were thinking, what's he going to be like? And we are like, oh. I mean, basically, quite seriously, they probably pulled him out of the cloning vat.
yeah, he's got, he has like, I mean, it's you could pick them both out in a lineup. They don't look the same, but they do kind of look the same. So he just fit the aesthetic. His voice was fantastic. He really nailed those songs. And credit to Fear Factory and Burton C. Bell because he had a great voice. Um, Now I want to make a special mention though, Coach. So Pete Weber on drums. What drummer of the fucking weekend? I mean, what a fucking performance. This guy was like tight as a drum leather and um powerful, really, really good. And I said so. And the guy standing in the crowd leant over to me and he said, "Oh, that's the guy from Havoc. So he plays in Havoc, who are a band I know, but I've never really kind of
Yeah,
dug into."
yeah.
But off the back of Pete's performance in Fear Factory, it's like, okay, right, I am not slowing down. I'm going straight to Havoc to check their shit out because this guy was a powerhouse. I mean, really, really good. So there was plenty to enjoy. I thought Dino was a bit aloof. He kind of just sort of stood back and peeled out the riffs. Great. It was, I'd say it was a successful set, but there were no surprises.
Right.
Safe.
No. It was a whole of demanufacture basically.
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's it. Like I say, not a classic, but it was enjoyable. It was solid. Yeah, it's just good to hear and enjoy and yeah.
Yeah.
So where are you going from there then? We into sort of undeath territory now? Did you go and check them out?
I definitely checked out
I
some
did,
undeath.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I nestled into the Sophie tent and I didn't watch the whole set. They're kind of one of those bands where I watched two, three songs and it's like that's all the undeath I need because I know the next two or three songs are going to be the same as
Yeah,
those.
yeah.
So I just wanted to immerse myself in that murky world for a few moments, and soak it up for a bit and enjoy it, which I did. But I really wanted to be, um, ready and in place for ministry. So I kind of, I, I cut that short and actually went back to the tent to fill up my whiskey glass, my whiskey flask, and again the baby wipes come out, just do a bit of this, bit of that, and then back for ministry.
Yeah, let's talk Ministry then, because I caught the last three songs of their set at Alcatraz, and I regret watching Creator over Ministry because those last three
Right.
songs were fucking ridiculous. So,
Yeah, I
you know,
mean,
let's have it.
there's there's an old sort of science fiction trope and storyline that's very, very overused at this point, where basically time is destroyed and collapses in on itself everywhere at every moment in time, all at the same time. And that's basically what Ministry sound like live.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's, I mean, I haven't seen them since the big day out in 1999, and at that point I wasn't as familiar with their stuff, and I was kind of a bit nonplussed and like, what's the fuss? Obviously now I'm familiar with enough of their stuff, and certainly the classic stuff, which is what most of the set was.
Mm.
But it's, I wouldn't even say it's a force of nature. It's just it's beyond that. It's just yeah,
It was so fucking good.
yeah,
It was so good. I mean, it was like undoubtedly one of the sets of the weekend, if not the set of the weekend. Maybe out, without any of the kind of huge production of the headliners, and that they went big, the headliners, but it was probably the loudest set I heard. It was intense, and the performance was good, and those songs, as Voice said, it was like, they lent heavy onto the classic. I actually hadn't um got back from the campsite when they started, and I could hear that riff, the riff to Thieves,
yeah.
like coming over the campsite, and I was just like, holy shit, that sounds savage. And I'm like, I'm a quarter of a mile away. um and anyway, so I kind of got in there, got up to my position, and they just fucking nailed it. It was excellent. Like, and I am led to believe that this is like this, they're winding down for retirement now. So kind of
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
ours sort of announced. I don't know if they're doing one more record, or I'm not quite sure what the arrangements are, but if this is the last time I ever see Ministry, then holy shit. I mean, that's one to keep up here, man. That was a
Yeah.
phenomenal set.
I mean, normally when you see the sort of singer prowling around on stage and just mouthing to the samples and looking at the crowd and
Yeah,
doing that, it's like, most people would not get away with it. Al, absolutely fine. He owns it. It
yeah.
Yeah, cool.
works.
He's a fucking yeah, he's in a world of his own, that man.
Yeah, and do you know what, that's a fair point, because it's not like there was nothing really there to connect with the crowd. There was no like banter, minimal stage talk. It was quite an aloof set, but not a lot more than just announcing the songs and then tearing into them. It was just the strength of the material, and
Mm.
Yeah.
crucially the sound, the production, the live sound it was like nothing else that weekend.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, seeing him as well. It just sounded
It,
just
I mean, we
crushingly
were,
heavy.
yeah, we were pretty much in front of the sound desk, just in front, and it was deafening even from there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
It's one of those. I mean, don't get me wrong. I always want, a band to sort of. I want to hear a lot from the band. This was one of the only times where I was like really disappointed that their set wasn't longer, and I really wanted them to play more.
Yeah,
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 It's one of those again. It comes down to, it's not just about listening to music; it's about feeling the music, and that was just like that.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. No,
yeah.
it's fucking yeah. It's a legendary band. I mean, like I said, I saw them at Wacken, and I remember them being just ridiculously heavy back then as well. But
Mm.
yeah, I mean, let's just talk about the way they ended the set as well. Because they did the same thing at Alcatraz, which I found that it really sort of tickled me for something that's so full on and intense.
Yeah,
And they finish on So What, and then they just kind of member by member
just
wander off.
Yeah,
yeah. It's such a sort of nonchalant end to what's a
Yeah,
really kind of laser sharp, powerful set, and then it just sort of, it's like the whole thing just dissolves in front of you, and it just
yeah,
fades away into the ether. Um, yeah, it was a memorable ending to a classy set, and you've just got the bass and drums right at the end. Um, that riff to So What just kind of fading
yeah.
off, and then that was it. Um,
Fucking triumphant.
and there you go. They left us and went off to Alcatraz. To or was it that way around?
Oh, no, I think they were Alcatraz first. I think, yeah,
Right,
yeah, it was
right,
the night
okay,
before, yeah.
okay.
So
Well,
they got around,
switch that, reverse it.
but
But yeah, I mean, it just it was a set to remember, that one. Yeah,
right. Well, let's talk Machine Head then, shall we?
yeah. Saturday night headliners. Yeah, what can we say? Reason?
For the most part, good. Solid. But I think workmanlike is how I was feeling for
Right.
much of the set. I was still engaged. The set list was, good and decent, spread out across, but um, I thought, yeah, this is good. It wasn't quite there for Trivium for me, but I was engaged. But later on in the set, I think the last third of the set, um, they played Darkness Within from
Mm,
Unto the Locust, which I'm a big fan of that album, and that was the tribute to Michel Kerr.
mm.
And it was a lengthy tribute. It had a photo of him and Michelle broadcast, and he gets out the acoustic guitar because that's the first half of the song, and he was just talking about her, and how metal as we know it today would be a very different place because her contribution at Roadrunner and PR and whatnot was so significant. It made a difference in so many bands, and of course there was probably a lot of people in the crowd who didn't know who she was, were aware that she died.
Yeah.
Uh, and I think it's pointed out that there's so many people like that behind the scenes. They're not in bands, they're not managers,
Mm,
they're making things work. They're really making sure these bands get somewhere and supporting them, etc. And we've obviously spoken ourselves about Michelle and her team's contribution for us,
Yep,
spanning 20 years.
yep,
Um, and I won't lie, I never spoke to Michelle, I didn't know her, but I was touched, I was affected by it.
mm.
Um, I think Rob was generally trying to sort of hold it together and say, this is, she was a big fucking deal, and she'll probably won't like this this fuss, but this is for her.
Yeah.
And for me, that song was great. And then after that, it was like massively raised. I mean,
Mm,
they played to this from this day to this day from the Burning
Burning
Red,
Red, yeah,
which
mm,
was great. They played Supercharger,
mm.
which was great.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
Um,
mean,
Davidian, and what did they end with? Christ, I don't know.
oh man, song titles are not my forte.
Yeah, yeah, I
name
can
three
see.
Seriously.
songs.
Yeah, no, I'm that person that goes
Halo,
blank, and
Halo,
I'm
the
Halo.
fucking idiot.
yeah,
Yeah, of course.
right.
But that last third just seemed to be on a different level, I think, to the rest of the set. I think the rest of the set was good.
Right.
That ending was just brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I went into it. So I said on the Bloodstock kind of preview episode, like, we've thrown a lot of shit at Machine Head, and then the new album, we wrote it off as a damp squib, you know. And I said, but I think I'm going to go into this set, and I'm pretty sure when they start playing, I'll hear like the old familiar riffs, and I'll get into it, and I'll enjoy it. And that's exactly what happened, and then some. Like, I really, really, really enjoyed Machine Head on Saturday night. I thought they were excellent, and few reasons for that. I just one thing that struck me hard, like, I don't know, quarter of the way through the set, I was just thinking, it's for all the kind of personality that surrounds Rob Flynn, and for all the shit we've thrown at like these kind of weird mid-era albums and the latest stuff. It was just really nice to watch him play guitar, and to acknowledge that actually he's a pretty fucking shit hot like guitar player.
Yeah,
Just
he
watching
has
him
a rhythm
tearing
player.
out.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, no, even his leads,
yeah.
he's ripping out a few leads, and I was just like, fucking hell, man, fair play. I'm just enjoying watching you play guitar right now. And the other thing, and I'm going to commit a massive in the abyss sin here. Um, but I mean it. Like, I actually found myself quite endearing to him. I thought he was sincere. I thought the whole, so there's a big, like, bit of a play around in the middle where he's throwing beers out, and he did this thing where he threw the beer out to Banana Man, and he kind of spotted different characters in the crowd, and he made a point of referencing them all. It's like you got Tinfoil Knights there, you got the Banana Man there, and he was making sure they all had a beer, and it was something that really drew the crowd in. And
Beer
endeared
box Jesus.
Beer Box Jesus, yeah.
Excellent.
And he's gone online on the socials talking about all these different characters that were in the crowd as well. And I just found myself really warming to, you know, to his presence on the stage. That kind of weird, awkward stuff that none of us have really warmed to, where Machine had stopped doing the ferocious riffs and they started doing, the more melodic, kind of overly sincere vocal. There was a lot of that in the middle of the set, and they obviously play some new stuff. But I have to say, it was easier to digest when in the context of like the explanations, like all that early stuff that we love. He was full of piss and vinegar and anger. But when he talks about these songs, these newer songs, and he says, I wrote these at a kind of low ebb and I was just feeling, I was in the depths of depression. And it kind of gives you understand why it goes to this kind of more yearning sound. So I kind of like, okay, right, I don't like the way the album sounds. I think the problem is the production mainly, because live it was okay, it came across, it had a lot more heft and a lot more weight to it. And then of course, just as Reason has said, then you get into that last that beautiful tribute, beautiful tribute to Michelle Kerr, which was, I think captivated everyone. And then the set just lifted. And I would say for me, and we'll talk about Gojira, but it's kind of like this. Maybe Machine Head were the headline set of the weekend for me.
Fair play. All right, we'll come back to that. Did you anybody go and see Static X afterwards?
No.
No.
Nah. Well, let's move on to Sunday then, because yeah.
Don't push it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fear Factory was enough.
Mm.
But yeah. So the Sunday lineup is a bit weird for me now. I'm sitting here looking at it. I mean, you've got one of the worst bands out there on the main stage, but that's
Hang
just
on,
that's just a bit.
Is this right? Yeah, I think I know who you mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
didn't watch them.
oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, we won't worry too much about that. So where did it start? Please tell me you went to watch Barbarian Hermit. Yeah, I know. Well, I know you did, but
Barbarian Hermit was
we
yeah.
did.
Yeah. I mean, look, God bless those guys. As we know, they're putting the band on pause for the foreseeable. So whether we get a chance to see them again or not, watch this space, and I hope we do. Incredible band, and their last album was really good.
Green Sugar banger, absolutely one of my top 20 of last year.
There you go. You see, so and for that reason, they, we put a pin in them, and we made sure we went to go and see them, and they were big and heavy, and they sounded like Barbarian Hermit, so good time. It's that kind of lolling, the perfect soundtrack to a beer. So I made sure I had one.
So fucking predictable.
I prefer reliable.
Right. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Reliable. That's fair. That's fair. Did anybody watch Frail? Did you catch them?
No, I didn't.
Oh, who? Sort of Frail.
Yeah. They were on. They would have been on directly after Barbarian Hermit and Sofa Stage. I watched.
No.
I watched about half their set at Alcatraz. Kind of ethereal goth kind of thing. Again, she's got a fucking incredible voice. Very theatric. Wears very bizarre.
Oh, the
stage
headdress.
gear. Yeah,
Like
the big headdress with the wings.
Yes, yeah, I
Like
did
a
see that.
fucking
Ah,
sort of
right.
chain thing across her face.
Yes, yeah, kinky. Yeah, I
was trying not to go there, but yeah.
No, come on, man. It was complete. There's definitely some kind of All right, okay. I'll snap out of it. I did watch a bit of them, and very cool, but ultimately, it didn't
Not
go places. It kind of was very like, I saw probably the first couple of tracks and thought it was cool. Visually, like really striking. Had that kind of, again, like the kind of ethereal band in the masks, just sort of skulking around the stage. And she looks incredible. The outfit and the delivery was great, but ultimately
she makes it all. Apparently, it's all her own creation.
do you know what? It's funny. I was thinking that as I was watching. I was like, I bet she's good with a needle and thread. I thought, and I mean that with respect, because the she clearly had, a very, or someone in that band, and I'm sure it's her, has an eye for like what
Yeah,
it needs to look like. And it was great, and they sounded fantastic, but just not enough variety to hold my attention. So
yeah, and they're not setting either, is it
I
really?
moved
But
on.
who else did we have then early on Sunday?
Rivers of Nile was the
Yeah,
next up.
it was Niall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. With the kind of, it's funny, the saxophone player just made me laugh because he just sort of like creep in, like
Yeah,
so
it was the same thing at
it was
Alcatraz.
like
It
the
was
child
weird.
catcher. He'd sort of come in and then just play, play, play a few pops.
and it's a very. I mean, I mean, I'm not an expert on saxophones by any means, but it's a very odd saxophone that he plays, isn't it?
It's only about that size, isn't it? It's
Yeah, I
fucking
think it's
Well,
about
tiny.
that.
it doesn't look like a sort of nice, typical golden,
No,
sort of clean free.
looks like
It
a
almost
Fisher
feels
Price
like,
saxophone.
He needed to take a pipe
yeah, it
cleaner
feels like
to it.
that sort of made bigger,
Yeah,
and sort of, yeah, almost mechanical.
Yeah,
Weird.
I guess it's cheaper to travel with one. It's like his travel. I think it's an alto, is it? An alto that size? I'm not sure, but
were they any good then? Because they didn't. I mean, really liked the last album that came out earlier
Mm.
this year. So we only caught a little bit of them, but they fell short for me because I just watched Vulture before them, which is just pure German speed metal. So
Yeah.
then going to watch Rivers of Nile just felt it just like no, this is not clicking whatsoever. But
I mean,
how did they work?
I mean, I'm still unfamiliar with them. I think, and I need to spend the band I need to spend time with. I think
Yeah,
really,
it's a bit of
I
that.
think
Yeah.
they're not quite sort of massively drawing me in, but
Mm.
it's a band I'd like to be into just because of what they do. But I thought they were fairly good, pretty good, certainly heavy enough.
Yeah,
It worked.
yeah, fairly good. That's pretty much my assessment. For me, they're a band of two halves. When they go hard and they just do death metal, fuck me, they're good. Like
Yeah.
really good. Um, I I was like I really was an early champion for Rivers and Neil. Like they came out, and for me the whole saxophone element um just took me to a place that I kind of enjoyed, and I respect them for that. But they, to Reason's point, they're a band I feel like I want to like more than I actually do. And actually when you kind of, the proof being in the pudding, that live set, I just thought for a lot
Yeah,
of it,
that's exactly how I felt about them.
and I found myself just kind of ruminating on it as I was watching them, and when they veer off into what we call the more progressive stuff, I hate that term, but I'll use it in this context. Um, I just find the melodies really boring, and this is my issue with a lot of bands that use that style and go into that place where there's kind of complicated rhythms and complicated arrangements, but the melodies are really dull. They just sort of hold notes for a long time and sort of, I don't know if it's supposed to soar over things, but I'm listening to it thinking complicated rhythms aren't sexy. And, you know, your melodies are boring. So
Neck up music, innit?
yeah,
It's getting that blend, isn't it? I mean, I come back to Blood Incantation, and
right.
they've got it right, especially
Yeah,
on
well, the
that
melodies
last
are
album.
interesting,
Yeah.
they kind of take it off. Like a band like Nile, I find really, really complex, dense death metal, but there's these kind of like interesting melodies. They lean a lot into that kind of Egyptian sound, and that really kind of, like, even the saxophone player, he just kind of would just like sustain long notes. And it's like, okay, fucking, come on, come on. You've got an opportunity here to fucking rip it up on the saxophone, and you're not. So
Yeah.
ultimately, like, but to counter that, there were a couple of moments where they just went hell to leather. Okay, we're just going to heads down, death metal it out. And those were the moments where I was like, oh, fucking, there you go. You've redeemed yourself. That's what I want to hear.
All right, fair enough. What else we got? Did you see Wall? Did you catch Wall? Of
Of course, we saw Wall.
course you saw
Yeah.
Wall. Good,
Best
good.
thing about Wall was just seeing a massive wall with Wall written
Wall.
on it. I mean, I take that back. It wasn't the best thing about him, but I walked into the Sophie tent, and he's just got, this huge backdrop that just says WALL, wall, wall sized. Um, and like Wall just did what Wall do.
Yeah.
really kind of unassuming guys as well. There was a moment right at the end where, kind of step up to the microphone and say, "Yeah, we got some CDs for sale if you want one." And that's pretty much all the banter we got. But Wall are a band where the riffs speak for themselves, and
Yeah.
that's just what they did. They just delivered the riffs. They went down really well. There's a few shouts of, "Are you twins?" I remember hearing that in the crowd, but it was good fun. A little bit like Gnome, I think there was an edge that was missing. When you hear them in the underworld, which is like the last. In fact, they played together, didn't they?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
support note. Yeah,
Wall
yeah,
and
and
Gnome,
then
yeah.
yeah, when we loved them, they were great.
So to I mean, I'm going to say it. When there are walls, it just sharpens up the sound a little bit.
Yeah,
So in the Sophie tent, it kind of, it was a little bit lost there. But I love those guys. I love that band. So I was invested and had a good time.
fair play.
Yeah. Then it was over to the Grey after that.
Oh,
So
of course,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
with Grady.
yeah. Now I miss Grady. So I went in there and
This is the point out. This is in the VIP, but we
there's
were
the
lucky to
Serpent's
access
Lair.
to. So
Yeah. Now, so again, the Grey, another band that have graced the stage at Radio City Social, and I think last time, well, that evening, they were the talking point of that night.
Yeah, yeah, they were.
You could see it on everyone's faces, and just the banter around the bar, after their set was like, holy shit, that crushed. And I think they pulled it off in a similar way in the Serpent's Lair. Little stage, in a tent. It wasn't busy. There wasn't a lot of people, but those that were there just had these big shit-eating grins on their faces, and and the stank face, the all-important stank face when that riff hits, and it's just like you could see people like,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's what the Grey do. They just suck the oxygen out of the room and kind of but leave you wanting more. It's incredible. But I left, and then Reason stayed, and of course the second half of the set, I mean, fill
yeah,
everyone in.
I mean I've never managed to see Will Haven live, so nice little surprise for me. But yeah, Grady stuck around and they played I've Seen My Fate, Carpe Diem, and Jaworski. And there was a little girl with her dad just running around in a circle, just totally enjoying themselves during Jaworski. And hopefully they'll be back in some capacity, so I can actually tick them off
I
properly.
think,
But
yeah, I
it
think they're
was
going
it
to
was
work
nice
together
to
more.
actually
Yeah.
see that stuff because it's like, yeah, they were great.
Did Grady do the vocal part at the end of Church?
Yes.
Ah, yeah,
Well, I
Mm.
believe so anyway. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, I'm pretty certain they did. He did.
yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
got. I think they'll work together again. It just seems to be, it just seems to work really, really. There's a chemistry about it in there one way or another. So I think they'll work together again.
Hope so. Hope so. Now, the thing is, as much as I missed Grady, there was a good reason that I left the tent because I went for another paella.
Yeah.
I mean, holy hell. I was in heaven. I went for another paella and I got the mixed paella, right?
Oh,
So
hello.
they call it the paella. Right, so it's a little bit of I think it's vegan or vegetarian, and then you get the chicken and chorizo on one side. So that was my next stop. Delicious, and and just to give a shout out, to the food vendors at Bloodstock. It's a few. There was a few old favorites there. My rotisserie chicken
Oh
that
yeah, we
that
did
got
that
an
the day
evening
That
meal.
was
That
before.
always
was
good. Yeah,
that was an
really
Yeah,
evening
good.
meal.
destroyed.
Now, new discovery for me. So this year, a couple of times, and it might have even. No, I'm going to say it's on a par with the paella. I mean, the paella is my darling, but I went in for a jacket potato.
Bud
I
man.
went, I went in for the Spud Man a couple of times, and to be fair, perfectly cooked, right? And there's nothing worse than a badly cooked jacket
That's
potato,
true.
you know, when the skin isn't crispy and you've got those crunchy bits in it, it's not quite done all the way through. Right. None of that. But massively generous toppings as well. So whatever you were going to have on there, it's just like, yeah, they fucking dollop it on and they give you a proper belly full of food. Um, so I want to give a shout out to Spudman and his staff, who were fantastic and really were sorted me out a couple of times through the festival, gave me that all important boost. Yeah, and while I was eating, actually, so back to the paella. So yeah, I'd left the grey behind, sadly missed out on Grady. Got my paella, and I watched a band called Z Machine or Z Machine, Z Machine, Z
Oh,
Machine.
aren't they a bit sort of fucking mad? There's a jazz fusion kind of thing going
Yeah,
on
so
there,
I
isn't
mean,
there?
this is something again, a bit like Peng Shui, another complete palate cleanser. So, I guess like a rock lineup, bass, drums, guitar, but saxophone as well. And stylistically, they're more in line with kind of the Mahavishnu Orchestra or something like that, like jazz fusion, which I don't mind. Like,
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I
We
like
know.
a bit of this. So I'm eating away, and Uncle Mike has disappeared into the EMP tent, and I'm like, okay, right. But he looks really engaged with something. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, Uncle Mike's a little bit of a closet saxophone player as well. So he'd heard the call of parping. Um, so he was in there. He was in there. So I followed him in and yeah, just spent the next 20 minutes watching a very cool set, It was yeah, Z Machine, Z Machine, a little bit different. Yeah, kind of folkish, fusionish, a bit of rock. But quite light and a bit of a fun atmosphere amongst them, lots of banter. Um Welsh, I believe. So shout out to our man Gav. He probably lives next door to him, I would say, or at least across the valley.
Ooh.
Um, but yeah, they were a nice palate cleanser before the Black Dahlia murder.
Okay, yeah. See, I didn't watch them at. I mean, I haven't seen Black Dahlia Murder for a long fucking
Mm,
time, long, 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 long time. So,
Yeah, see, before
how's the new sort of lineup work?
cool. I mean, I was by this time in the afternoon. So Sunday for me at this time, post paella. It was Lemmy's bar. This was when I was sort of sat on the floor in the shade, like grasping to one of the few corners of shade that I could find on the site. Couple of pints, and then Dahlia fired up on the main stage. So I kind of started the set just kind of listening to it, just kind of nodding along. It's like, "Do you know what? Yeah, fuck it, I'm going to go and check this out." It was cool. It was Dahlia doing what Dahlia do.
Mm.
I saw them once years ago supporting Napalm Death. I think that what kind of one of their, they Napalm Death are really good at curating. No,
Yeah, yeah.
no, no. I'll tell you what, it wasn't. No, I take that back. It was Cannibal Corpse. They supported Cannibal Corpse. I think it might have been Hammersmith. Not sure. Um, Classic lineup, all cool. As far as I can tell, it was good. There might be, kind of keener-eared fans of the band might notice the difference for better or worse. But as far as I was concerned, it was kind of solid metal riffs, good stuff, and they had someone in a gorilla costume. So if all else fails, I enjoyed
not
that.
bad, but, yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think I'll say objectively. I mean, I actually watched the whole set because this is a band I had just never been able to click with, and I thought, let's see them live, maybe that'll do it. And I'm going to come along and say I think they were very good live, um, but they still not clicked with me. So I think at this point I'm going to give up with them. I think they're just a band that are never going to be my thing. Um, but yeah, I mean,
But you know
Yeah,
what? Sometimes
they're
that's
so fucking relentless, though, aren't they? It's like
yeah,
there's no let up in it at all, is there?
yeah.
no. But
They do remind me of Lamb of God, but more deathcore. So
Yeah,
right. I think that's fine. Sometimes that's enough. Like, just be an entertaining live band. That's
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
You don't have to. It doesn't have to be your new favorite band, does it? It's like if you're sat there and you're watching it, thinking, "Do you know what? I'm having a good time. Whatever's happening in front of me is enjoyable.
yeah,
Fine." You know,
yeah.
and,
Um,
and they tick that box.
let's
yeah,
let's let's move on a little bit. Did any of you watch Lord of the Lost?
Can we, before we talk about, no, I'll tell you why, because I was more concerned with trying to find a signal to follow the Community Shield updates.
Fucking
Oh
hell.
yeah,
'Cause
because it was a
my boys, Crystal Palace, were, in that, having earned it valiantly by winning the FA Cup. Did you know that happened?
Didn't know that. No, I wish you'd said something.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I ended up sort of trying to find somewhere, funny enough, back at the campsite, 'cause I knew there was a signal there.
yeah.
And yeah, obviously, yeah, one on penalty. So that big cheer you heard near the traffic lights was me. So if you were there,
Now we
so yeah,
shout.
that was
I was just going to say shout out to Voice of Reason because you spent the entire day adorned in your
yeah, yeah.
in your
I
Palace
supported
shirt,
from afar.
and then for the rest of the evening just became the beacon to which the football fans would approach and it's like, what's the score? Have you got
Yeah,
the updates?
yeah, yeah.
So
Had a
Reason's
few
just
shouters
yeah,
of
providing
me.
news updates to all the football fans in the crowd.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, there's a few of our lot sort of dotted about the place. I sort of crossed paths with, so that was nice. But yeah, you don't get moments like that, so it's nice to do. So no, I didn't catch Lord of the Lost.
Good.
But I never intended to. But I need to go back to before Black Dahlia Murder and talk about Hirschwanz.
I was going to say,
Mm,
I forgot about them. Did
yeah.
you watch them? They must
I
have been a
did.
laugh, surely.
Well, I watched most of them anyway. I think basically I've forgotten about them, to be honest,
They
with
must have been
everything
a
else.
giggle at least.
It was great fun. I
Yeah.
mean, how can I describe them? I mean, they're German and they sound like Rammstein partying with Angus McSix,
Fair
Oh,
play.
more violins. Um, I think the crowd loved them, from what I can tell. They sounded pretty good, great fun. New album's out next week, and I'll definitely be checking that out. Um, so yeah, I think they were exactly the kind of band that you need to have on a scorching Sunday afternoon when everyone's just a little bit like we haven't got the energy to mosh, we haven't got the energy to headbang, but
mm.
we need to stay engaged with what's going on before we collapse. And here they come, just a bunch of Germans just in armor and medieval suits going, yes, 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 let's have fun.
What's not to love?
All that. And yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see them, but
Like-
I've just relived it. You're listening to that. Yeah.
Please tell me
So
you didn't watch Lord of the Lost either.
no, again,
Good.
I crawled straight back into the Lemmy's bar and just sort of lay down in the shade. I think I did a bit around that time. I think I was doing a bit of shopping as well. I checked out some of the stalls and stands and rifled amongst the back patches and jewelry and other things that were that were on offer.
Hmm.
Much the same as other years. I don't think there are any um, new additions. I'm not sure,
No,
but I bought a
I
few
do.
things.
Oh, no, I do. I do. I think we want to talk about the stalls, I think, as a point. As it's
Right.
worth providing a bit of feedback. Um, the as you said, the Dodgem sort of bit had
Yeah.
gone, from what I
Yeah.
recall, as had the fudge van, which I wasn't happy about, but there we go. Um, but it feels like that sort of big sort of square in the middle of stalls. They changed the layout slightly, so it was a bit of a diagonal corner, and
Right.
some of these stalls had moved a bit further along into that. But this was sort of where the Sophie tent is. And I think this year, I think they've listened to feedback
Mm,
uh, because it felt like there was less of a bottleneck when coming from the
yeah.
main stage
Yeah.
on that side and trying to get to the exit or into the Sophie tent.
Yeah.
And I think just sort of cutting off that corner has helped. Now, I don't know, maybe they hadn't listened to any feedback and they just observed it themselves. But for me, that is an improvement. So fair play.
Yeah.
Tick.
Uh,
Yeah.
so
Tick.
I will. I think in terms of thing, I think there's a stall from Belgium or the Netherlands that was on the other side and was bigger this year, so that was great. Um, I did buy some patches from the usual places, but there was a stall called Dean of the Dead, and I apologise because he does hot sauces, and I meant to get some because he also does some very potent ginger beer, which he couldn't sell because of license at this festival. But he's on Instagram. He's called Dean of the Dead. He's got some hot sauces. I can recommend the beer, and yeah, I'll have to get my hot sauces online because I forgot.
Everyone loves a hot sauce these days. Right, look,
It's
so
true.
we're getting right to the sort of vinegar strokes of the festival now. So there's really this sort of
Yeah.
three well, actually four major bands now, I suppose. So Main
Yeah.
stage, you've got Mastodon and Gojira, and then on the Sophie stage, you've got 3 Inches of Blood and Obituary. So those four bands, I mean, that's a pretty strong finish
Yeah.
to a festival. So let's sort of round it up with those four then. And how did it all kind of come to an end?
Right. Mastodon were the next up for me, and I really enjoyed them. Like Mastodon are not a band I've been very hit and miss with Mastodon, and um, seen them live a couple of times, but I've always found them a bit dull live. Now, obviously, there's a lot of news with Brent. Is it Brent Hines
Brent
leaving the
Hines,
band?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. So he's moved on, and I'll go as far as to say I think it might be the best thing that's happened to them because there's a renewed energy. Well, there's an energy I've not seen before in that band. Now, I got a little bit of a preview because I watched the Back to the Beginning concert, so they um, I watched them online for the Aussie gig, and it struck me then. I was like, they just look like they're having fun. They just look like maybe there was a problematic presence in the band
Yeah, yeah.
that has now gone, and there's just a kind of just a looser energy to them. Anyway, so they came on, and for probably the first time I can remember, um, just really enjoyed watching Mastodon live. I enjoyed watching them have fun, and for me, it unlocked something in their songs that I've never experienced before. So it was a huge win for me. I was just like, okay, right now, it felt like a penny drop moment.
Fair play. All right.
Mm,
Nothing else on Mastodon.
not from me.
Move on then.
Oh no, I'll point out. No, I'm very much echoing what's being said. I mean, I haven't seen them for over 10 years at Sonisphere on the main stage, and again, I think they were good, but again, workmanlike, and I think there was a bit more energy about them this time, and decent sound. I mean, they played three songs off Once More Around the Sun, and that's a criminally underrated album as far as I'm concerned. That's one of my favourites. So that was great to hear them do that in itself. So
It just
yeah,
bothers me that there's very little attention to Remission now. That's why
yeah,
I just don't I didn't watch them at Alcatraz. Well, they were on the same time as Helicopters anyway, so that was a no-brainer.
Right,
But it was
right.
like yeah, until they start playing some of that stuff again, I'm not really all that interested. So
yeah. They
you
they
know,
they played.
yeah,
Oh,
We did get Supernaut, so
yeah,
they were one of a couple of bands that bought their Back to the Beginning cover
yeah,
with
yeah.
them and just put that in the set. And yeah, that was a real highlight for me. And I might have shed a tear. I had a bit of a
Oh,
moment
bless
when
you.
kind of like the whole Aussie thing hit me. And anyone that listens to this podcast knows that I'm a massive Ozzy Osbourne fan, massive Black Sabbath fan, and you know that got me. Supernaut is one of my favorite Black Sabbath songs, and I was pleased they played it. Yeah, so I'll give them that. Yeah, Mastodon, you bastards, you moved me to tears.
You bastards, you total
You
bastards.
total bastards.
3 Inches of Blood. I'm assuming you all went to watch them.
We didn't. I didn't.
Did you not?
I no.
no,
Listen, I walked. I kind of that was another set that was absolutely rammed, and I didn't quite
yeah.
have it in me to push through the crowd this time. So I sort of stood outside and listened to a bit, and was like, still
Yeah, we, we
bagpipes.
we we kind of listened from afar, but I think there was also a need for food at that point. Certainly, I did. But yeah, I think it was just we got to that point. It was like we're not going to get in. It's too much energy, and
Yeah.
none of us are huge fans. So I
No, no,
wasn't
no, no. I
I
mean,
wasn't desperate to see them. So
watched their whole set at Alcatraz, and they were great fun. But that's and yeah, his voice has held up.
The voice was
Yeah,
yeah,
fucking
oh yeah,
strong.
yeah.
yeah. So
So
it held up
You hear
really
that
well.
one.
yeah.
So yeah. What's the Sunday
I mean,
main
I
stage
will, I will
headliners?
play out in the service station the day after. I think pretty much everyone had a Free Just Blood T-shirt that was at the same Warwick services.
Well,
So
that's good. That's
was an
Wow.
good.
impact.
So Gojira then, French fucking gargantuan behemoth of a band. Um,
I mean,
Perfect finish. Well, I mean, they are of all of the three headliners, they are by far and away the biggest. They are a bona fide
mm,
arena, in some ways pushing small stadium band. So how did that work?
I mean, I think I said on our chats, they can headline download at this point.
Yeah,
They really could. The set was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. They owned it. I mean, we kind of got separated actually from me, I think, with
Oh
the
yeah,
food, sort of trying to plonk myself down and
yeah.
find
We
something.
had a
Uncle Mike
a
wanted
food
to,
related.
yeah, Uncle Mike
Yeah,
wanted a good spot, and we ended up, funny enough, sort of almost on the edge of the pit, sort of not right at the front, but close enough, and it was full on down there, especially when they played Saira, the Olympic song. That kicked off
yeah,
properly. Um, but even so, even at this point, I mean, the dust was ridiculous from, because of,
Yeah.
that part of the grass had just been worn down. And funny enough, as the festival went on, you saw more and more bandit masks being worn by people,
yeah, yeah.
because the dust was so heavy. But no, they were immense, absolutely immense. I mean, yeah, they deserve the plaudits at the moment. And
Yeah, I
yeah,
would agree. I would agree. I mean, again, I said in the preview episode that was the headlining set I was looking forward to the most.
yeah,
Absolutely delivered. I mean, on all fronts. I mean, it sounded pin sharp. I mean, Gojira have always been a band that have just kind of sounded fucking on point every time I've seen them
Mm.
live. It's just been laser like. So all that was going on, but on a grand scale. And then you had all the visuals. I thought it was, and this isn't a criticism, but it was quite an aloof set. Like there wasn't any interact. There were, I mean, it kind of came later on, but it was quite cold. It was just like riff, 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 riff. Explosion, riff, lights, images. It reminded me of a much better version of Meshuggah's set a couple of years ago.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought
Yeah. Okay.
it's
I
very
get that.
mechanized, isn't
Like
it?
it's
Yeah.
very kind of like we're
Yeah.
just gonna smack you around the face again. And we'll smack you, we'll smack you, we'll smack you for about an hour, and then you know it kind of lightens up, and all of a sudden you've got the drummer's moment where he kind of comes out with his little placards to communicate with the
I saw
crowd,
the photos of that. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and he kind of brings out this turns it around. It just says fish and chips, £10, and he's kind of
Which,
mock,
which,
sort of like,
which made everyone laugh because that was
yeah,
bollocks, basically.
and then which was just this kind of moment of levity after this in supremely intense set, first half of the set, but ultimately that just led into another smashing. So it was it was powerful. It really was. But I mean, a masterclass in heavy metal, really.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they also did a cover of Sabbath, Under the Sun.
Oh, nice.
Right. Yeah,
Which
another
worked.
band that kind of brought
That's
their
not one that gets touched very often.
no.
To be fair,
Now,
no. No.
I think Entombed did a cover years ago,
Mm.
possibly.
Yeah, I think around the era of To Ride and Shoot Straight,
Yeah, yeah, there was a
they
second disc on that album actually that
yeah,
had
they
some
put that one
covers
out,
on
so
it.
it's out there. But
So I'm gonna have to check that out actually because I don't like being wrong and I don't like misinforming the public.
no, I'm sure
What?
you're right. I'm sure you're right. But
What?
yeah,
While
and we got
you're
that. We got the kind of Parisian Olympic song as well, which was intense. There were flames kind of blasting off the top of the stage. Um, it was everything. Yeah, breathtaking.
Yeah,
Mm,
that's what it sort of needed to be, I suppose.
Yeah.
I have some words on Obituary then, final band of the weekend, and we fucking love Obituary. It was a cause of death heavy tour, this one. It was the same thing at Alcatraz, and they just fucking nailed it as they ever do. So I'm assuming no different.
More of the same, just
Yeah.
more
I think
death metal excellence.
I think it did all feel a bit straightforward compared to what Kojira had before. I think it was almost a bit like not a come down, but a like let's keep things simple for a bit.
I mean, Obituary have always just kind of been meat and potatoes, haven't they? It's just like, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fucking tasty potato. Um, it was Obituary doing it like it was quite a so they're quite a down to earth, jovial band.
Yeah.
And actually, this set felt a little bit like they were kind of shrouded in darkness, and there was a lot of silence. Um, wasn't a lot of stage banter at all, actually. In fact, I don't really recall any.
No.
Um,
That's unusual because
which is,
they were really chatty at
yeah.
Alcatraz. So and when, I don't know where they're just getting to the end of a tour and
Well, I
just a
don't
bit
like.
fucking tired
I
or what.
mean,
But
whether that was, whatever the reason for that was, rather than, it didn't put me off. Like the set was great, but
Mm.
it almost gave it this intensity that was a little bit different from other times I've seen Obituary. Because Obituary, they're a bit of a kind of boozy bar band. It's like, yeah, we're going to play a song, and there's that kind of
Yeah,
element to it. This was a bit more. They just seemed a little bit, there was an edge to it, a little bit of danger there. But then, the material speaks for itself. It's just fucking Obituary doing what they do, which is
doing fucking
making me happy.
riffs.
Mm.
Right. Well, that was it. That's the festival. So a couple of things to round it off then. Band of the weekend each.
Ministry.
Yeah,
Bosh.
Ministry, I'd say, and just in terms of like, kind of new discovery, Convent.
Cool. Yeah, give it a bit of that. And the view from the fact it was fully sold out this year, how did it all kind of work? Did it feel overcrowded? Toilets, water points, all that kind of stuff. Did it all
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, water
tick
point.
over?
I mean, Beans pointed out that they did stuff in the Lemmy stage, so
Yeah.
I won't grumble there. I think the usual water points were quite lengthy for most of the times, but
Yeah,
they do bring something out if it's getting too long when it's hot. So
yeah,
yeah,
that's a fair point. We didn't get the return of the. Do you remember that really hot festival where they had like the people with spray guns, just kind
Yeah.
of big
Yeah.
canisters of water spraying people down? There was none of that. Yeah. So generally speaking, it didn't feel congested. I would say,
That's
generally
good.
speaking, it was fine. It was no better or worse than other festivals. To the point where I say generally, it's probably fine. Yeah, it was okay, better than. Um, Water points being the one exception. And I think it's just because they don't shout about it enough. So there's one kind of in the center of the festival that everyone seems to queue, but if people had known that there was water being given out in the Lemmy's bar, there's another water point kind of near there as well. But yeah, that's probably just shade and water could do better.
Yeah, but those are the things that are always going to be a challenge because I think certainly with things like toilets, there's a ratio that you have to meet
Right.
for the toilets for a number of people. So
Yeah.
it's I suppose you get to that point, it's like, well, that's legally what we need to do. So
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, what I mean, it's just one of those things. But generally, the weekend as a whole all went pretty
But as
smooth.
a whole, it was
You
it
know,
was smooth.
oh,
Yeah.
getting
it,
in and out of the
it's
arena, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
All good.
a well run operation overall.
Yeah,
So
it should be
yeah,
now, shouldn't it? You know, so that's good because those are the gripes that people come back from festivals with. People will moan about bands and that, but people, well, it was poorly organised, or I could do better, and all that kind of stuff. And it's good
yeah.
that they're, you know,
I would be surprised if anyone can have that many grumbles. I mean, it feels the reason I'm happy to come back year on year if I can, is because it feels about right.
Mm.
It's not
yeah,
too big. It's not download load size. The layout works with all where all the campsites are. I mean, you can do VIP if you want and stay away from all the idiots
yeah,
going through the night. Um, and look, they've clearly listened to some feedback because they've changed things a little bit in the main arena, which I
yeah.
think has improved it. Yeah, it deserves its credit for good reason.
That's good. End on a
Yeah,
positive
yeah.
note.
I think overall, man, it's just one of the better metal festivals out there.
That's why people go back every year, and it's
Yeah,
why we're sitting here now a week after it, and all the sort of early bird tickets are gone, and fucking
yeah.
it will sell
And
out again by the end of the month.
On that point, actually, just about it being one of the best metal festivals out there, I think all credit to the crowd and the fans, like because everyone is super chill.
mm,
There's a good atmosphere there.
Yeah,
There's a friendly atmosphere there. I've never seen any kind of edgy, there aren't fights. You don't see any, I don't know, there's no tension there amongst the people.
I've not seen any security or police or anyone sort of have
Yeah,
to get involved.
you don't see people getting escorted out, arms behind their back and stuff like that. Like it is just a lovely environment. And I think, that plays out in a lot of the social media posts that come out after Bloodstock
mm.
from a lot of the vendors and people that another shout out to Spudman. I was kind of watching his social media after the
I
festival,
saw that little video. Yeah,
and it's like it's not my music, right? This isn't I'm not here because I love the music, but I'm, I do the festival, but consistently you hear that message. Bloodstock is one of the best crowds.
Yeah.
It's one of the most pleasant experiences. You know, on that clip, he made a point of just gesturing to the sort of field behind him, saying, "This hasn't been litter picked.
Yeah.
It's tidy. You know, it's clear. People have, you know,
And
and obviously
that proves that that can be done. It was exactly
yeah,
the same in Belgium. If you've got the right people with the right attitude, then
yeah,
it
and
can
just
be done.
a system that works. And you know,
Yeah.
obviously they got
Yeah.
the cup collection, and you can cash that in. So the entire weekend, you've got people like taking your cups and making sure that they're all clear. You know, and obviously they had a different system in Alcatraz, but it's something that works. But generally speaking, no one is a cunt.
And that's what really matters, because at the end of the day, you don't be a cunt. And if everyone's there for the same reason, you shouldn't have that, should
Exactly.
you?
So
You
fucking
know?
big up metal fans because you're
Yeah.
great people.
The best fucking people. So there you go. Well, that's it for another year. Well, it's not, because we'll be back next week with and we'll talk about Alcatraz. But in terms of Bloodstock's it for another year. Whether we're there or not next year, who knows? It'll be one of those nearer the time.
Yeah,
But
we'll do
you know,
something. We'll do something.
we shall see.
Someone.
So
Someone.
yeah, hope everyone's enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in a few days. Stay metal.